Hey, everybody. This is It's Going to Be Okay with Dr. Roseanne. And today is an exciting day because this is Ask Me Anything About Magnesium. And I've been getting some amazing questions from all of the followers across every platform about our Neurotastic supplement line, which launched yesterday after 2 years of hard work. I'll talk more about that. And you've been messaging me and asking me all kinds of questions. So that is what today is about. Feel free to ask away about anything related to magnesium because it is our body's most important mineral and nutrient, and we use an awful lot of it in today's busy world. And actually, there are 300 chemical processes within the brain and body that require magnesium as a cofactor. So we call it mighty magnesium around here for a reason, because it's a helper to so many things within our system. And I think that might be an aha moment for a lot of people because it's talked about so much, as well as getting as many high density magnesium foods in your diet because we need it. We need a lot. And we're going to talk more about it. If you're watching us in our Natural Parenting Solutions group or our new Combrain community, great. If you're not in there, you can go to drroseanne.com/group to learn more about it. But let's dive in. Let's talk about magnesium. Let's talk about what are some of the things that it does and doesn't do. Somebody's asking a question about detoxification and how it helps in that process. And I will definitely dive into some of those questions. But let's talk about deficiency symptoms first. So first of all, you say to yourself, how am I deficient? Maybe you're like me. You're a super healthy eater, right? I do an anti-inflammatory diet. I have no gluten, no dairy, very, very minimal sugar. Sometimes we go to the cake box here in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and get ourselves an awesome cupcake for special occasions for our staff when it's their birthdays. But generally super healthy and actually an incredible amount of vegetables, way more than the 5 cups that are required, in a day. Yeah, I said 5 cups. So you need a lot of vegetables and especially greens. If you know and love my friend, Dr. Rita Marie Lascauso, she talks about it all the time. But what are some deficiency symptoms, right, that we need to talk about? So one, you can get everything from headaches to leg pains. It can be associated with worse menstrual symptoms, certainly cognitive and mental health symptoms. It's been associated with attention problems, anxiety, depression, and a whole bunch of other things. And as I said just a minute ago, it is a helper to so many different chemical processes. It's hard to list out how many processes that are incomplete would reflect a magnesium deficiency. Can be related to skin problems and immune system difficulties. It is very important in the detoxification process. There is a lot that it can support within the brain and body. So what are the actual symptoms that it helps with the brain and the body, right? What can it do in terms of mental health? So a lot, right? So it supports neurotransmitter function in so many ways. And as you always hear me talk about, magnesium, right, is an important nutrient, but we also only think about psychiatric medication as supporting neurotransmitter functioning. And magnesium is just one way. I mean, smiling at somebody impacts your neurotransmitters, exercise, meditation, breath work, neurofeedback. There is a long list, being social, hugs. So there's a lot of things. It's just magnesium has a very important role in neurotransmitters, particularly serotonin and GABA. It's important for both of those. And, if you know anything about serotonin is important for stress. It's important for attention and mood. GABA helps to cut excitatory neurotransmitter activity. And when we have too much excitatory activity within our nervous system, our brain, it can be very toxic for neurotransmitters. So magnesium helps to smooth that out. It's part of why, when you take magnesium, as I said, I eat super healthy and I still take a lot of magnesium and multiple forms of magnesium. When I do, I feel calm, right? Because it helps to with some of those excitatory neurotransmitters that we all experience, and it's part of it, but many people are in overdrive. So it helps with neuroplasticity, one of my favorite words. And that's really brain flexibility and having your brain. And this is actually at our hubs. We're learning a lot more about the brain and conditions like ADHD, learning disabilities, and that. We always think it's just the structure that isn't working properly. Maybe it's overworking or underworking, and then that produces a variety of symptoms. But we're learning through more recent research, which I'm not surprised because I'm a neurofeedback provider and I know how I train people reflects that we're working on brain communication, but we're understanding that it's about brain hubs, that is often those connection points are really where people are struggling. And that's why a lot of people don't respond to medications. There's a variety of reasons. And this is just, everybody knows me about my work. I'm all about science-backed solutions for the brain and families. And we need to look to the science. And there's a lot of science that points to things like magnesium and meditation and neurofeedback and counseling. And these are things we need to embrace before we start somebody on medication without trying those. It's really a disservice to kids and families because their parents are not aware of these amazing alternatives. So you had a great question about detoxification. So let's go to your question about how does it help with detoxification? What reactions do you see? So that's a tough question, but I'm Dr. Roseanne and I can answer that question. So there is a variety of reactions that can happen with anybody in a detoxification process, depending on what you're detoxifying, right? So if you have, you're struggling in your immune system, right? Let's talk about somebody who has an autoimmune disease or PANS and PANDAS or, some chronic health condition, and you are struggling with detoxification in general, right? Maybe you have a genetic variant. Maybe you have MTHFR. Maybe you have a double MTHFR, right? And so those are variants that interfere with the detox process. So when you do detoxification, really intentful detoxification, like I do a day of juicing and I do all that stuff, you're going to see detox reactions. And those reactions in general, right? And we're not just talking about magnesium. Like magnesium in general is very safe. I'm getting all kinds of questions. What does it, counteract with? What are typical things that people who, experience take magnesium, what possible reactions? Really, the one known side effect is bowel issues, that you take it to bowel tolerance. Excessive magnesium usage leads to loose bowels, right? But we always want to be considerate of people who are struggling with detoxification issues, because when you have a detox issue, you really can get reactions. And if you have infectious disease, there's a reaction called a Herxheimer reaction where you actually feel awful. And many, many different substances can trigger that, right? I had somebody who couldn't have cilantro or parsley because those are two herbs that really help with detoxification. So you always want to be mindful. Of course, when you're doing things like magnesium or anything, you want to check with your provider. As I said, there's no known serious side effects from magnesium use. And certainly there are different kinds of magnesium. And, in our MultiMag brain formula, we have L-Threonate, we have L-Glycinate, we have Magnate, and we chose, it's called a brain formula. We chose what science showed us supports the brain. And we have an awesome white paper. We'll put it in the notes. and a professional reference that cites all the research around this. I've been a huge fan of magnesium for, 3 decades. I actually started doing holistic work in the early 90s. Yeah, it was me and a few other people, some naturopaths, basically. Only because if anybody knows my story, that I saw kids struggling, and I needed to look at the research of what was actually going to change the brain and behavior. And pretty quickly, it became that you needed to look at nutrients and you needed to look at food and how can we change that, and different components. So when it comes to detoxification, magnesium has a process. It's a cofactor in helping it, but detoxification is a very complex process. They say that it's two parts. There's arguments that it's 3 parts, and there are different nutrients, chemicals that are required all along the way, and in that is, I should do a whole thing on detoxification. I love it's one of the biggest barriers of people who are struggling with mental health. I'm just going to say is improper detoxification. But in that, you can have genetic variants. And how sick is your system? The sicker the system, the harder it is to detox, and the more gentle you want to be. And there are lots of beautiful ways to detox, and magnesium is required in that detoxification process. We have put in the most bioavailable brain forms, L-Threonate. So, why choose Neurotastic? What is it about? But in our MultiMag brain formula, we have L-Threonate, which is the only form of magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier and gets right into the brain. It's pretty incredible in terms of the research and showing what it does for improving attention, cognitive functioning, conditions like stress, anxiety, as well as mood. And that's why it's in there, right? And these are the things that I've been recommending for a very, very long time to many of our clients. What are the best supplement combinations with magnesium? Great question. So peanut butter and jelly with magnesium is vitamin D. Vitamin D is super important, especially in the era of COVID. I have never seen more people come back to me after working with me than I have in the period of COVID. And when you do QEEG brain maps, you can see the impact of COVID on the brain, as well as people really stressed. I had a conversation today, even just talking to 2 different people about still the lingering effects on their teenager of social isolation during this time. Vitamin D is super important. I would say zinc is a big one. In our Neurotastic in early 2024, we are working on brain basics, and it won't be a multi per se, but it is those most essential that I recommend all the time. I mean, part of what we did in this is, I created a formula not just for kids and mental wellness. This is a family supplement. It's a powder. It's seasoned with It's used as monk fruit in it. Tastes really good. We beta tested it on kids that had restrictive eating and autistics, and everybody really enjoyed it. Nobody didn't want to do it. So lots of great things, but I would say that magnesium and zinc are best. Magnesium, zinc, and vitamin D are probably the top 3, and they work really nicely together, and they help support the immune system, hormones, so many factors. What vitamins work well help absorb magnesium? How does it affect the stomach? So depending on your different types, so we did not add citrate. I love citrate. There is no bad magnesium, just so you know, it's what you need. So particularly for me, the glycinate and the L-Threonate, we chose to use patented forms that are super bioavailable, like where pretty much all the users so far have noticed it in a very, very short amount of time. But what helps to absorb magnesium is the type of magnesium, right? So we chose these more bioavailable forms. And how does it affect the stomach? So citrate is one that is amazing if you struggle with constipation. So if you have a child who struggles with constipation, I would say 50% of my people struggle with constipation and are poor detoxifiers. You need to eliminate every day. That means poop every day. Otherwise, the toxins go back in your body, peeps. Too much of it can upset the stomach, right? If we're getting a loosening of stools. So that's important, but most people. What forms of magnesium can help with sleep and relaxation? Well, what we put in our MultiMag brain formula, glycinate in particular, L-Threonate, magnate, they're all clinically shown to improve sleep. Even citrate can help improve sleep. And I take a magnesium bath. I still take all these and a magnesium bath because Dr. Rowe is running a clinic and a supplement company. So that's helpful for people. Great question. I get this asked all the time. What's the best time to take magnesium? So first of all, has a lot to do with what kind you're taking. We're going to talk about ours, like when should you take L-Threonate, when should you take glycinate, magnate, and the combination, right? So, and just know that we put in the clinical levels that have been shown through research to address clinical symptoms. That's a big deal. And we chose powder because gummies weren't going to cut it. You just can't get enough in it. There are other types of nutrients that you need low levels. You're just not going to get enough in most gummies. And to address clinical issues in the way the research has shown us. So we needed to make sure we're putting in a certain amount. So when's the best time? Now, magnesium for most people, like myself, I take it at night. Why? I need to chill out. I need to help prepare me for sleep. It's great. And I would say that, if you're using it, please let me know. Now, a lot of my people, the number one clinical issue in the world, in the United States, is anxiety. So if you are struggling with anxiety, you can often take more. You can take it more than once a day. And most of my people will, if they're taking it more than once a day, they'll do a dose in, somewhere in the morning or midday. Or fun tip, because ours is called Berry Calm and it tastes really good. It actually has like a berry lemonade-y kind of flavor. It's great. I'm telling you, the kids loved it. You can put it in water and put it in a big old water bottle like I got here, and mine's been loved, you can tell. And and you can drink it and it can flavor your water. So you have to play around and then you have to know what your clinical symptoms are, and you got to talk to your provider about what works and what doesn't work for you. Here's another question: can we take in the morning, or is it better impact? So again, I would say that you always want to start with taking it at night. It absolutely is going to help you sleep. My husband, we call him Mr. Hodge. He took it and he was like, oh my God, I think I just had the best night of my sleep. So sleep, of ever. And it was great. So Epsom salts has magnesium in it. It is not straight magnesium, just so you know. So it has a low level. Great. I love taking that. I prefer straight magnesium baths, and there are products on the market. Epsom salt and magnesium in a bath form also help with detoxification. And that form of magnesium is known to calm your muscles. So for sure. What's cool about our product is on our label, we have the dosing for 4 to 8 year olds. We have it for 8 to 13-year-olds and then up. And we created a scoop where it has a certain level, you can do a half a scoop, a full scoop, or 2 scoops for an adult. And that way, everybody in the family, I'm trying to, I'm a working mom too. And I wanted to create a product that everybody could use. So a 4 to 8 year old, you would start out with a half a scoop, and I would do it at night. Now, you have a really anxious kid, you want to, always check with your physician, but you can play around. Maybe some of my people, what they do is maybe do a quarter in the daytime and see what happens. So glycinate and L-Threonate don't make you as sleepy as citrate does later in the day. So that is just generally my experience. But some people, you have to see, how sensitive. Yes. So a 4-year-old can take this product. It is designed and it has RDA requirements right on there of magnesium. We put in pretty much the maximum levels that we could. So how soon you can see the results? This is really dependent on anybody. So first of all, consistency for the win. Here's my magic wand, peeps. There is no magic wand in life. So even though pharma has great marketing that makes you think you can take a pill and it's overnight, and I know that's not what you mean, Facebook user, but you want to have a consistency. So results, it depends on what you're looking for. The clinical research, people did these things for weeks. If you're looking for calming, like Mr. Hodge was like, I just had a great night of sleep. He saw it immediately. When we were beta testing it in our clinic, most people noticed calm within half an hour, right? Now, that's not going to last. You have to love up your nervous system, get it to be calm over time, right? So, but magnesium is this is a very powerful, potent formula. I put in the maximum I could because we are following what the research shows us on addressing clinical symptoms. This is a supplement that is designed for mental wellness, right? Our whole brand of Neurotastic is 100% for mental wellness, right? Somebody's asking a question about tinnitus. Can magnesium help with tinnitus? So I unfortunately know a lot about tinnitus. My son with PANDAS has tinnitus. And tinnitus can have a lot of different causes. So sometimes there's a blood disorder related to it. Sometimes you had a hearing loss. Sometimes you, in his case, have parasites and infectious disease. So you want to get to the root cause of that tinnitus. So can magnesium help with anxiety? It's been clinically shown to help with anxiety. And we have the most bioavailable forms and the forms that are proven to reduce stress in this formula. So, but you always want to check that. And I'm really sorry you have tinnitus. I can tell you my max, it's a struggle when you have it. It's no fun. And anybody who doesn't know what tinnitus is, it is a constant ringing of some level. And it's good that you're connecting it to your stress levels because you can take action on it, right? But magnesium has been shown to, it's not just the mental stress relief that it does by bringing you down because it's cutting those, it's cutting those excitatory neurotransmitters. It's supporting blood sugar. It's calming and relaxing the body. There are many ways that magnesium supports mental health. And, every single supplement we are going to make is very, and I've mapped them out, very, very purposely, intentionally crafted by me for mental wellness. And based on my 3 decades of experience and using supplements in our clinic and our brain behavior reset program and really what works. And I started with magnesium because it is the most used nutrient. And in my previous experience, it is one of the most impactful and the one that I say all the time that every single person winds up saying to me, why didn't I start this sooner? Or why didn't I know about it? It's really an important nutrient. We use it so much. That's why you feel the effect of it. And I wanted to do right. So L-Threonate is not a commonly used form of magnesium. And there's really one reason why. It's 9 times more expensive than glycinate. So most places aren't going to put it in there. And it really is a brain form of magnesium because it's crossing that blood-brain barrier. And that means that blood-brain barrier is super important. It blocks things out, but it's letting magnesium in. And that is very, very helpful for so many of our neurodivergent individuals. And again, this is a family supplement. Even though my life's work is really to support kids, that means families, right? I was talking to one of my friends yesterday and her teenager is struggling. And I was like, how are you, honey? And she goes, Dr. Rowe. She always goes by Dr. Rowe. She said, you're only as happy as your happiest kid. And I was like, girl, I know that. And so every bit of what I'm doing, not just Neurotastic, but our Calm Brain community, everything is about really my mission to support families, and as I always say, I walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. I am my mom's, and dad's. So yes, okay, people are asking, so and just so you know, we only tested for flavor. Just so you know, we don't have a test group yet, but we are going to be doing testing, and we're going to do pre and post brain maps. How cool is that? So I have a list of people. Certainly, if you're local, you can always message us. And how can you get our magnesium? You go to drroseanne.com/magnesium. The links will be here. We're super excited. And this is our pre-launch period. If you're listening to this later, you still get a discount, but this will literally, we're having a 20% discount. We will never, ever have it again. So this will be something you can lock in, unsubscribe and save. You can cancel, you can change the frequency, but you're committing and you get some really cool things. You get a free month into our Calm Brain community, which is a low cost community, which is all about the actual how-tos, access to me and my team, showing you how to implement natural solutions. It is filled with literally how-tos and role plays and easy to use, accessible things. I know as a busy, stressed mother, we need resources. And so much of my time in my brain behavior reset program is literally spent with, I want to say, things that seem simple, but we're just not giving parents like the right things to say to their kids. We're not showing them how to modify behavior in ways where they don't feel like they're terrible human beings, because so many of my parents feel terrible, and you're doing such a great job. They feel like, I don't know what to say. They feel incompetent. It's like a mystery, this parenting. We all thought we were going to get these easy kids, right, on the Gerber babies. And so you need tools and resources, and that's what it's about. And there's a lot of other freemiums in doing that. In there. So there are some questions here about if magnesium is good for different chronic diseases. It is clinically proven magnesium to support the immune system. If you have an autoimmune disease condition, whether you have Lyme disease, PANDAS, Crohn's, lupus, you need like your body to be working at a high level. And that means, anti-inflammatory diet. You need to look at the nutrients you're missing. You need to look at the genetic variants. So, I talk a lot about this, and I'm happy to talk even more about this. But these are conversations that help people gain health. And for sure. So they are going to post the link in the thread. You can go to drroseanne.com/magnesium. Please pre-order it. And I want to hear back from people. Like, what do you think of it? How did it taste? How did you feel? How easy is it to incorporate in your life? So we need to incorporate ways to support our nervous system every day. And this is just one way, right? Dr. Rowe I did my prayers this morning, and I'm very intentful. Didn't work out yet today, but I'm going to work out. I make sure that I do a lot of things to help regulate my nervous system. And it's just one step, right? As I always say, make today day one, not one day. And wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. And I hope that our MultiMag brain formula is going to be on your health journey with your family.